Okay. Thank you, Janet, and thank you all our colleagues there for the great introduction and the great opening for the session. And thank you also for sending out so much of information about this in advance. So many of our participants will already have seen the image of a grandfather William Commander. And we created that image, a student actually created that image for in acknowledgement of his November birthday. And you will have noted there that we have a geocosmic prayer. Um, and it reflects really the great respect that Grandfather Commander inspired in so many of us for the cosmic world, for the key elements, for the cardinal directions, for the spirit of Mother Earth, the waters, and that energy is what has inspired all our Circle of All Nations work. And in the early stages, then we looked to how we could articulate this. And this became, the medicine wheel image became one way that we could share the thinkings of a grandfather commander and actually people of many other cultures, but with a diversity of people too. So, you know, the circle image, the Mandela image is an important one to many cultures. And and this version is just our Circle of All version attempt to show the linkages with Mother Earth, which then feed into our activities and our way of being and way of doing. So in this first slide, you see how we've conceptualized the cardinal directions, associated them with colors that are reflective to us of the energies, and and then associated them further with the key aspects of human life. So you see, we move then in a circular way around our medicine wheel. But you have to also imagine that our medicine wheel is always spinning as a spiral. And because it's reflecting the geocosmic world, it's almost like the spiral of the Milky Way that moves and engages us as we learn to follow its path. Now, in terms of the grandfather, William Commander, I guess you can only see the slide, but not me, hey? So I'll leave that a little later, I'll show you that. We move really from a
Oh,
place,
Romola, we can see you. So if you
can
wish to
you?
share,
Okay.
yes, we can see you.
Okay, I'm wanting to show you then this medicine wheel that grandfather would often take to teaching sessions, you know. It's a sweet grass braid around a piece of birch bark with the symbol of a strawberry. Strawberry is the heartberry to indigenous peoples. So we use our minds, but we trust our hearts in all our engagements. And we tied on the ribbons of the four symbolic colors to link them then for us with the notion of the beginning, the early morning, the vision, the early stages of an activity. We move then to the manifestation of, you know, the maturity of the midday, the heat, the warmth, the energy. And there we reflect the color of physicality, the red. We go then into a zone of reflection, of thinking, of going within, and we associate that with the dark. And then we come forward with the reflections that we've refined, and we see them as the wisdom. So in a circular kind of way, we move from the east to the south, to the west, and to the north. And that's quite different from how I grew up, you know, grew up in South Africa, and I always dissected everything. I thought about north, south, east, west. But through the indigenous, I began to understand how to reconcile understanding directions with that circular motion, which is the motion of life. Okay, so we can move then to um, developing this vision. this developing this vision of how we do our work, how we guide all our activities to an elaboration. So perhaps you can take us to the next slide, Janet. And here now, you'll see how I draw out of the initial thread the range of activities, range of energies that we associate with each of those zones. So if we go back to it again, we see the critically important part of our work is the vision planning section. So we spend a lot of time determining really a mix of intent and cause. So the intent is really like a deliberate intention of a type of work, a type of way of being that we want to see happen. It could be around a project, it could be around a lifestyle. So we spend a lot of time thinking about that. And that becomes then our cause. And in that place of visioning and planning, we spend a lot of energy determining that. Then we look in the place of action to how we manifest that intention, how we manifest the cause. And there we're engaged with people, with activities, with the implementation of work to move our efforts further. Then we go into a zone of reflection. And this is where we really do sort of like the quality control, the healing, the smoothing off of things that may have worked well or not so well. Look at refining, look at strengthening. And so that really is a very, very important part of our efforts to then lead to the presentation of a wiser project, a wiser answer, a wiser outcome. And that we oftentimes reflect either in images or in text, in writings, the next level of activity. And then we move back into the next level, a deeper level of that process. So we pretty well applied that approach with small and little initiatives and projects and our way of being. And you'll see here then in this image, I'm associating also the medicine wheel with the 4 key elements. So the elements of fire, the passion of the first light, the first awakening, the enlightenment zone, comes with the envisioning. The passion of the earth, the physicality, we associate with the action zone. The symbol of water for us then becomes the zone of reflection, of the deep thinking, the deep analysis. And the symbol of air is the spreading of the ideas. So we associate all our work really with the energies of Mother Earth, and we trust that she will guide us. I have introduced quite formally into our discussions the energy of spirit, because that has really been a critically important one for Grandfather Commander. And we want to always say that we don't mean that to be a notion of religion. We think about the human being as having the aspect of emotions, of physical body, sensory development, the spiritual dimension, the intuitive dimension, the sixth sense dimension, the one that is connected with something larger than us, and the mental capacities. And we see that in our medicine wheel, we need to constantly integrate all these energies to do our work. So that in essence is what that's about. Yeah.